Oh, terrific Tuesday, everyone. So, I was doing some thinking yesterday, and yeah, I think this is, I don't know how to phrase it, but like, I think it's just a clear indication of some discrepancies between, state by state, states and territories. I've never been locked up in any other state other than this example I'm about to give, in which case I didn't go to a remand centre, I didn't go to a prison, based off my actions. The CERT team, as they call them in Victoria, they're not the special operations group like here in Tasmania that I've had many dealings with. They are basically, they call them the CERT team, and that stands for Critical Incident Response Team. And I think they basically, like, I'm not real knowledgeable on this because I'm not from Victoria, but I think they basically deal with high risk offenders, like, like when shit's happening real quickly and they don't have time to deploy the SOGs in Victoria. They send what they call the CERT team, which is essentially a moderate version of the special operations group, the tactical officers that have the helmets and the goggles, and you can't really see, all you can see is their eyes basically. But yeah, to keep it short, because I want to make this point without going over 10 minutes, right? Basically, I was, 20, 25, 26 maybe, and because of my chronic drug abuse of amphetamines and the fact that at the time I was using some of the best amphetamines our country had to offer in terms of purity. Now, when I say purity, you get any drugs here in Tasmania, ice, gear, amphetamines in general, you're generally dealing with 7 to 15% purity at most, unless it's in big bulk. It's like someone's got a kilo or more, you know what I mean? So the everyday user only uses between 7 and 15% purity. A lot of people refer to that as, oh, that's why it cooks everyone. I'm here to tell you it's the complete opposite, because when you start using anything between the range of 20 and 50% purity, that will cook you a lot faster. Like if you think you're fried and can't concentrate on 12 to 15 to 7% purity, you go over 20%, 25%, up to 50%, you'll be cooked within 3 uses of it if you're not used to having that sort of purity drugs. Because of the lifestyle I was living, the people I had around me, the paranoia that was already deeply embedded in my personality and my way of thinking, I was in Victoria trying to help a friend at the time, and he also had people around him that I knew we couldn't trust, and it really played on my mind, and being around these people that I didn't know and all the rest of it. And ultimately it led to my spiraling. Like, I spiraled massively and I couldn't control myself. My thoughts were so overwhelming that it sent me spastic. But the key feature of this is, as I said, I've dealt with the Special Operations Group here in Tasmania 4 times, 5 times, and the point I want to make about this is, if this incident had have happened here in Tasmania, like the way I behaved and the things that I done and all the rest of it, they wouldn't have sent the SOGs. They would have just sent normal police and, dealt with it then and there. But here's the thing. When the CERT team come and surrounded me and ended up gassing and tasering me in the streets of St Kilda in Melbourne, they obviously realised very quickly that I was unwell, and that taking me to a remand centre or a prison was not the option, and it wasn't their first option. They took me straight to the Alfred hospital and had me admitted into the psychiatric ward of the Alfred hospital, which is the biggest hospital in Victoria, I believe. It's fair to say I was off me rocker and I was not thinking clearly. And, you know, in the lead up to them turning up, surrounding me and doing all this stuff, like placing me under arrest, I had jumped in front of a tram, which smacked me up the road about 15, 20 metres. It took skin off me like you wouldn't believe because I had shorts and a singlet on. It gave me a massive concussion, obviously. It didn't seriously injure me, but in terms of, you know, the people that seen it, the tram driver, whatever, like anyone that was there would have just been like, he just tried to kill himself. Like, why would he run and jump in front of a moving tram? And, you know, the way I was walking up the street, going off, talking to myself, I'd just had a bad phone call with my partner at the time, and basically I was losing my mind because of the drug use, and I couldn't cope with everything that was going on. So I don't think I wanted to die, but I jumped in front of that tram as a way to stop my thoughts and stop myself from worrying about the things I was worrying about. Anyway, they found me about 4 streets away because I didn't know my way around St Kilda, and I was concussed and I was now very seriously injured and all the rest of it. But the point I want to make is this, like, for Victoria Police, who obviously deal with maniacs and psychos, probably not like me, but just like me, you know, like they have people over there that are uncontrollable, they don't value their lives, they are serious drug addicts, serious criminals, all the rest of it. The fact that the one and only time Victoria Police come into contact with me, they took me to a psychiatric ward, I think that speaks volumes of how our way of policing and the systems that we have in place down here may be a little bit warped, in the sense that, you know, they could have very easily just taken me to the remand centre or taken me to a prison or whatever. But as I've told in previous stories, I don't think that would have went too well, and I don't think it would have ended well for me, given the prisons and stuff are obviously very different over there. But they clearly identified that I was not someone that belonged in a prison, is my point. That 3 days in that psychiatric ward, it was, you know, like I relished the fact of getting out of there and coming back to Tasmania, I'll tell you that much, because I couldn't have stayed there much longer, in the sense that it was sending me crazy, and I wasn't crazy. It was the drugs. I was crazy in the sense that I was spastic, drug fucked, psychotic, delusional, paranoid. But after 3 days of flipping out, and I won't go into details, but let's just say I was uncontrollable in that psych ward as well. Like, after, you know, 3 days of being strapped to a bed naked and fed through a tube and shitting and pissing on you shit through the bottom of the bed that you're strapped to, and you, like, if there's no one there, you just piss on yourself, piss anywhere. Like, it was inhumane, and it was like, it made me realise that I wasn't fucking spastic crazy, like where I could endure something like that, because that's what was making me really heightened, stressing me out, is that I was strapped to a bed for 3 days, and like, people were coming in talking to me, and I'm strapped to a bed butt naked, like, and it was a horrible experience that I wished and I promised myself that I'd never end up in that situation again, because it made me realise that I wasn't crazy in the sense that I belonged in a psychiatric ward, but at the same time, how do people deal with someone like that that's just jumped in front of a tram? I attacked the police when they come to arrest me, told them fuck off, don't come near me, I'm doing me, sort of thing. Like, my point is, I think I've highlighted this a few times. 45 seconds, let's go. You need to address your own mental health, in the sense that you've got to be honest. You can't just expect, like, correctional staff, detention centre staff, your parents, your family, your brothers, your sisters, you can't expect anyone to know what's going on in your head and why you are the way you are unless you're honest about these things. And, you know, as you can acknowledge, it's hard for me to sit here and tell everyone when I'm the best version of myself now. I am medicated, I am living my best life, I am doing everything in my power to take accountability and make up for the life I lived and the actions and the things my actions affect, how my actions affected other people, So yeah, to sit here and, you know, talk about being put in a psychiatric ward, I can acknowledge how some people would see that as like, oh, you're a dickhead, as if you tell people that. Now people think you're nuts. I was nuts. That's my point. Like, I needed help and I wasn't willing to get it because I wasn't willing to be honest with myself that I was unwell. So, yeah, I just wanted to highlight that and, you know, add a little bit of context to the fact that I have been in a psychiatric ward for my behaviours and my actions and my inability to acknowledge my mental health at that point in my life. So, yeah, I just really encourage everyone out there that sees this video and thinks that they may be in the same boat, in the sense that when things get tough and things get hard, harming yourself and trying to take your own life may be something you think about or do things that could cause that. I really strongly encourage you to get help, seek help, and be honest about your feelings and emotions, because I lived that way for another 6 years, where as soon as things got too hard, I would turn to self-harm. I'm not someone that slashed up or done anything like that, but I've tried to hang myself multiple times. I have driven so dangerously that I'm lucky to be here. I've done some dumb things in response to having undiagnosed and untreated mental health issues. So yeah, I just really want everyone to acknowledge that and, you know, take it upon yourself to get that help before it gets too much, where you can't talk about it, because that's what it was like for me. I couldn't talk about what was going on in my head because I thought everyone will think I'm retarded. They'll think there's something wrong. And there was something wrong with me, but this is how I was justifying not talking about it in my own head. And yeah, I really encourage everyone to be honest about it, because if it gets to the point where you're doing things like that, jumping in front of a tram, and then when the police come to protect you and the people that you're traumatising by being suicidal in front of them, and then you attack them, you're clearly not well, because that, I suppose that's obvious, isn't it? But yeah, just strongly encourage everyone and anyone that battles with mental illness or, you know, suicidal or self-harming thoughts to get the help they need and, yeah, really focus on looking after yourself. Hope everyone has a great day. 12 and a half minutes, Richo. Geez, you talk shit. 10 minutes.